Hey guys, welcome back. Now, Cathie Wood is one of the leading figures in the investment world right now. And although 2021 hasn't been the best year for the ARK funds, they still are outperforming the S&P over the past 5 years. And Cathie believes there is a $75 trillion opportunity for all investors who are positioned correctly. And this can be found in disruptive innovation. However, will these industries actually grow at 83% per year, or is our money better off in good old-fashioned index funds? Well, that is the topic of this video. So in this video, we're going to be looking at the premise of Ark Invest. What is this company all about? We'll take a look at this $75 trillion opportunity, then why I actually really like Cathie Wood, and one of the reasons just might surprise you. And then finally, the one main problem I have with Cathie Wood, and this is also a bit of a warning to investors. As always, if you do find anything useful in the video, be sure to drop a like, always very much appreciated. Okay, so Ark Invest is one of the top actively managed funds in the world right now, and you may have heard a little bit about this or a little bit about that. So let's begin with everything you need to know about Ark Invest in under 2 minutes. And then you'll clearly know what this company is and what it is they're actually trying to accomplish. Let's check it out. Ark Invest has been built on one premise: investing in disruptive innovation. And they see this as a $75 trillion opportunity by 2030. As they see it, 14 technologies, which they also call their big ideas, across 5 innovation platforms. Here are the technologies: deep learning, the data center, virtual worlds, digital wallets, Bitcoin, electric vehicles, automation, autonomous ride-hailing, drones, space, 3D printing, long-read sequencing, cancer screening, and gene therapy. These are their big ideas across the 5 innovation platforms of blockchain technology, genome sequencing, robotics, artificial intelligence, and energy storage. So in one slide, this is Ark Invest. Now, with the stock market at all-time highs, are we going to see another big stock market crash, or are we in a new era? Well, let's find out from Cathie Wood.
We are getting all kinds of questions about how sustainable what we're experiencing in the equity markets, in the global economy. How sustainable are these new mega trends that seem to be evolving? And I think what's great about big ideas is even we spend all of our time in the research and investing around these ideas. And even we, at the end of the year, as we're summarizing how big these ideas are, we are sometimes stunned when we pull away at how quickly this is happening, so quickly. And the other question we face here is this a bubble? Now, there's a lot of muscle memory around the tech and telecom bubble and bust. And obviously, that was not a good experience for a lot of people. It was their first experience with this notion that the internet, in that case, was going to set off years and years of exponential growth opportunities. And that did happen. It actually happened. But it did take, for some of the technologies, it took 15 to 25 years for the seeds that were planted during the tech and telecom bubble to bear fruit. Now we're ready for prime time. They're bearing fruit. Now that we're here, investors are skeptical. They're afraid that there are going to be disappointments like we experienced back then. Well, back then what happened is too much capital chased too few opportunities too soon. The costs were way too high and the technologies were not ready. In fact, some of them didn't even exist. And so, of course, that did end badly. Now the costs and the technology are at the right point so that we are experiencing exponential growth trends in 5 technology platforms involving 14 different technologies, individual technologies.
So Cathie Wood is building her business off these big ideas, these 14 technologies across 5 innovation platforms. And you'll notice that she does reference the dot-com bubble and crash quite often. And this is because we have been here before. This is exactly what happened in the year 2000. The internet and technology was here and destined to change the world, and what ended up happening was one of the biggest crashes in recorded history. Cathie Wood says is that the world just wasn't quite ready and the costs were simply too high. Check it out. So this is a chart of the Nasdaq, and it goes back to 1997, leading all the way up to the dot-com bubble. And many people are saying that this is very similar to where we're at today. Now, the narrative back then in 1997 was that technology was really making breakthroughs, the internet was really starting to take off, we had these big growth spurts and then consolidation, another huge growth spurt and consolidation, and after one big correction, the stock market really started to take off. And people were saying that we were in a new era, the internet was going to change the world, and it led up to one of the biggest stock market bubbles in history. And if we fast forward a few years, we all know that after it reached this peak, we saw one of the biggest stock market crashes in history. We had these big crashes and a false hope rally, another huge crash, another false hope rally, another deep crash, and just when people think it's all over, they had a rally for a couple of months before another 5 to 6 month decline, and it finally bottomed with the Nasdaq crashing 80%. Fast forward today, and this is today's look at the Nasdaq. So we pick up from 2003, so we had a great run up to the 2008 and 9 great financial crisis, and we're now experiencing one of the biggest bull markets that we've had in history. And the question on everyone's lips is this time different? Are we going to see another big stock market crash, or are we in a new era? Well, Cathie Wood and the team believe the latter, and they believe that due to Wright's law, which is a constant falling in costs, these technologies have now matured and are ready for mainstream. Cathie's main narrative is that in the year 2000, technology just simply wasn't ready and the costs were way too high. And now that costs have come down dramatically, we're now going to see this exponential growth, and we really are in a new era. So that is what Ark Invest is all about, why they see this $75 trillion opportunity from these 14 technologies, and this brings us nicely onto this. I know Cathie Wood does get a lot of stick, and there are some people that think her ETFs are going to crash and burn. But I did want to explain why I really like Cathie Wood. And first up is that she goes against the mainstream. She really stands up for what she believes in, and her narrative goes against a lot of the common investors who think that there's going to be a big crash. And for me, that is true leadership. Someone who has a really strong vision and stands up for what they believe in. And third, and probably most important, is the fact that she invests in these small, innovative companies that are trying to change the world. Think about it, the more she is successful, the more she shines a light on these smaller companies that then get media attention, they get investment, and they become more successful. And this is actually great for the world. Let's take Tesla as an example, her largest holding. She has played her part in helping Tesla become as big and as successful as it is. And this means helping get rid of the gasoline cars and helping the world become electric and autonomous. And think about it, over 1 million people die every single year from car accidents. So her success is helping to save millions of lives. There are also 10 million people who die from cancer each and every year, and we probably all know someone or several people that's been directly impacted. And Cathie Wood's success is helping her genomic and cancer screening companies do breakthroughs, which could ultimately mean, again, millions of lives saved. And this is why I follow her work, I make videos about it, and truly wish her all the success in the world. However, having said that, this brings us nicely onto this. There is one thing, one niggle which I don't like, and it's how she talks about passive investing, or index funds, or as she refers to it, the benchmarks. Take a look at this 1-minute clip and you'll see what I mean.
Investing in disruptive innovation. But the financial markets have lost the plot. What we've seen since the tech and telecom bubble and bust, and then the 08-09 meltdown, is tremendous risk aversion, fear, and it's manifested in portfolios going passive. There's been a movement towards passive and index-based investing. And that's because portfolio managers and analysts believe that that is the safe thing to do. That's what they're measured against, are these benchmarks. Well, benchmarks are very backward-looking. The stocks in benchmarks are there because of what has happened historically. Innovation is all about the future. We believe there's been a massive misallocation of capital to these backwards-looking strategies, and that the most undervalued part of any equity market today is innovation in the public equity markets.
So she says after the dot-com crash and great financial crisis, people have become scared and have moved away to passive investing. And she believes this is a big misallocation of wealth. And what I don't like is that she talks as if we should all just invest in innovation. And for me, this would be a very dangerous strategy for investors like you and me. Let me explain. Take Richard Branson. After reading Richard Branson's autobiography, there was one concept which I'll never forget, and he uses this every time he makes a business decision or investment. He asks himself, how do I protect the downside? And the example he gave was about Virgin Airlines when he was launching that business. You see, launching an airline business is incredibly expensive and incredibly risky. Now, if it works, then all is good, but if it doesn't work, it could have taken down all his other businesses. So how did he protect the downside? Well, he made a deal with Boeing to just lease the planes. And this way, if the business was a big success, then great, but if it wasn't, he could simply just give the planes back. So what's the downside with just everyone investing in innovation? Well, if it all works out and we're all making an 83% return, then great. But what if it doesn't? What if there is a big 50 to 80% crash that takes many years to recover? The problem is we only have one life, and if we invest all our money into the wrong thing, we could completely mess up our nest egg and also our retirement. And this is why I believe for 95% of investors, having at least half your stock portfolio in index funds is the best way to protect your downside. Now, from there, if you want to invest 10%, 20%, up to 50% into things like innovation, then go ahead. But this way, if you're wrong, you won't get completely wiped out. So basically, I would like to see Cathie Wood recommend investing in both passive investing and innovation. Okay, so let's finish up with Cathie summarizing some thoughts on the future, and then I'll summarize everything we've covered at the very end. Take a look.
I think that the reason many investors are having trouble visualizing how quickly things are going to happen here, how quickly the changes are going to take place, is because we've never been in this kind of period before. You have to go back to the early 1900s to see three platforms evolving at the same time, technologically enabled platforms: telephone, electricity, and automobile. Those three went into exponential growth trajectories at the same time. Today, 5 platforms, 14 underlying technologies or supporting technologies, converging. You know, there are going to be explosive changes, and we're probably as excited. We love all of our children, but the results we're going to see coming out of the genomic revolution We're going to see cures to disease. We're already seeing it.
So, lots covered, guys, and let's bring all this together. Ark Invest is all about investing in innovation. 14 technologies across 5 innovation platforms, and they believe this is going to be a $75 trillion opportunity by 2030. Cathie Wood believes the reason we had a big dot-com crash is that technology just wasn't ready yet and that the costs were simply too high. I personally really like Cathie Wood. I think she's a great leader, she's a great role model, and her success is the success of all these young, innovative companies that could be saving millions of lives. The only thing I don't really like is that she talks negatively about passive investing and index funds. And it would be great to see Cathie Wood recommending both passive investing and innovation. And that would be perfect. So there you are, guys. Hope you found this useful. In fact, just one favor to ask. If you enjoyed anything in the video, be sure to drop a like, and a big thank you to everyone who does. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, I invite you to click below and join us. I do have some great videos coming up that you don't want to miss. Okay, cheers guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.